Welcome to the New Sudan. What you see behind me is the New Sudan. We're going to tell you all about it on this program. Sudan has become a cover story and a hot button for celebrities, the UN, and lots of political maneuvering since the Darfur crisis has gained publicity. It has been a country in crisis for over 40 years. It is divided racially and religiously, and it is about a quarter the size of the U.S. It's located on the eastern half of Africa. 2/3 of the nation are black and only 1/3 are Arab. Because of Muslim control, many of the black have converted from tribal faiths to Islam. However, most of the southern black are Christian. Now, before Darfur, a terrorist group funded by the government of Sudan has caused the displacement of millions. Just in the past 20 years, 4 million people have been displaced. 2 million have been killed, many of them Christian. Now, why is this happening? And is there anything that can be done? We'll find the answers to these questions and more when we return right after this. Sudan has been a country in crisis for more than 40 years. Most of us are aware of the crisis in Sudan because of the genocide going on in the Darfur region. However, the crisis in Sudan has been going on for much longer. Famine and disease, but mostly war and terrorism, have been the reason for this crisis. Most of the people in southern Sudan know nothing but war. Children as young as 12 begin fighting simply to protect their homes and their families. But most of the fighting has been between Christians and Muslims. The Lord's Resistance Army, a terrorist group based in northern Uganda, led by witch doctor Joseph Kony, is being supported by and funded by the northern Islamic-based government to try to eliminate the Christian forces in the south. When we hear about a crisis so far away, we are moved by the suffering. When we see the pictures, we are moved to pray or to give to relieve the suffering. But it seems that it's the children that especially suffer most in war.
They have done everything from what you would call like brainwashing, devil seances, or I'm not sure of the words because the LRA are like witch doctors, and they're very much into all types of demonic things. But they'll do everything from raping the child, sexual abuse. Many of these children have been sexually abused by the LRA. Many of them has been tortured. Some of our older ones aren't here, but we have some that were shot. We have some that were shot in the eye, some shot in the neck, some shot in the back. We have many of them that were cut. I mean, and these are children. There's been war for many, many years. Over thousands of years there's been war, and there will always be war. But the thing is, war is supposed to be soldier against soldier, not soldier against children. And with the LRA, what we have is it's soldier against children.
The amount of children who are victims of this war are innumerable. Can you imagine with me for a moment your child or your grandchild seeing and experiencing what some of these children have had to go through? Well, stay with us. We'll take you to meet some of these children and those that are there to rescue them. Getting to southern Sudan can be somewhat of a challenge. Sam Childers of World Mission rescues the children of southern Sudan and northern Uganda by traveling in and out of the country many times throughout the year. You begin by traveling the road in the safe zone, seeing some of the locals along the way. Doing this type of travel, it's always good to stop and try some of the local cuisine. It's my lizard on a stick?
Lizard on a stick.
Okay, yeehaw. It seems to be a popular site. Many from all around the area came here to buy and sell goods. After our brief stop and lunch, by the way, the lizard on a stick was actually quite good, we were off again. Now, I just got to feel comfortable about the ride and enjoying the beauty of God's creation. I began noticing few and fewer on the road. Then Sam told me why we went from many on the road to not seeing anyone.
We got about an hour's drive, and once we cross the river is where the ambushes can start. Now, they haven't had them in this area in a few days, but if you try to travel in here at night, the road's shut down. I mean, so about an hour from now, we will be in an area that we could get ambushed.
After a rugged ride across dirt roads through southern Uganda, we finally made it into northern Uganda, the city of Gulu. On arriving into Gulu, there I saw hundreds and thousands walking and riding bicycles into the city. They travel into the city at night for protection from terrorists. If they stay out in the countryside, they will be mutilated, murdered, or kidnapped. Millions have lost their lives. Why would Sam purposely come into a battle zone?
God called me to do it. There's nothing else to say. God called me to do it. I tried to back away from it, but he kept calling. So that's why I'm here.
God's call? What an awesome thing. God has called Sam to rescue the children of southern Sudan. But what does it mean to rescue a child? And who are the people that he is rescuing these children from?
They were children that was abducted by the LRA, the Lord Resistant Army, and half of our children have been victims of the LRA. What we've done is we brought them, once they were rescued in battle. Some of these children I've rescued myself in battles, and we have brought them out of the battle into our home in Uganda, and then we end up searching for their families in southern Sudan. So the two that we brought yesterday, I mean, we went into the bush, and as Yuns of Cornerstone already know, because Cornerstone was with us, we went into the bush. We took a few hours searching for the families. We went right to the very homes where the children was abducted out, found the parents, and then we went back a few hours later and brought the children back to the parents.
When we come back, I want to show you the full story of that rescue. Can you imagine the U.S. being at war and having either 15% of the population being either displaced or at war? That would be 45 million people. Well, that's what happened in the Sudan. Millions have been killed and millions more displaced due to the fighting between the Muslim North, the terrorist Lord Resistant Army in the South, versus the Christians in the South. Now, the greatest crisis has been with the children. Sam Childers of World Missions has spent most of the last 10 years caring for the most innocent victims of the war, the children. Sam has rescued hundreds of children. Some have been completely abandoned, their parents murdered. Others have been kidnapped and forced into servitude, either as soldiers or sex slaves. When I was with Sam, I had the privilege of meeting some of the victims, hearing their stories, and returning a few to their families. Stay with me as we go on this journey with some of the children in crisis. Every night throughout northern Uganda, children as young as 2 walk up to 5 miles to come into the city for safety. What begins as a trickle in the early evening quickly becomes a stream by dark. Children, many of them without as much as a blanket, cram in together on a sidewalk or in a makeshift shelter. What would cause enough fear for a mother or father that they would be willing to send their child into the dark night after night? It's war that causes this fear. War led by a vicious terrorist by the name of Joseph Kony, a man who some say has more than terror on his agenda.
Kony is not only a military, but he also practicing witchcraft. He has a spirit. That's why they are called the Lord Resistance Movement. They nickname it as a Christian rebels, but of course it is not. So he's under the control of evil spirit.
Kony's cruelty knows no end. He mutilates and maims without thought or compassion. If they live, his victims must endure countless surgeries to repair the outward, but only the Lord can repair the heart. Kony's people cut the nose, lips, and ears off of this woman. Then to further terrorize her and her community, they took it one more step.
The wounded part where they have cut, they give you to eat yourself. You have to eat it yourself.
While in a trance under a tree, Kony receives his warring instructions from demonic voices. This is why this battle will be won with spiritual weapons. For 6 years, Sam Childers, a Hope Connection partner, has been using the weapons of prayer, the Word, and faith in the battle for the lives of the little ones. Sam has been called to win this war with a broken heart for the children and the love of God.
Children, how they suffer in southern Sudan is just amazing. But anyways, my heart broke for them, and about 3 years ago I began an orphanage in southern Sudan. And over the past 2 years, we've been bringing in a lot of children that's been suffering because of the LRA. I got 2 right now that really broke my heart. One of them is Walter. You can see he's running and playing just like a normal child, but he was shot in the eye. His eye is completely gone. And then his sister Angela, she was shot in the neck. And you can see they are just normal children, but yet they're suffering so bad because of what happened to them from the LRA.
Kony's LRA has abducted so many people and mutilated so many more that entire villages have been left abandoned. Starved and used as pack animals for weeks by the LRA, we were able to rescue these 2 boys, Martin and James. We desperately began searching for their families. And at last, Martin's mother saw us. Jesus said, "As much as you've done it to the least of these, you've done it unto me." You rescued this boy. Martin's mother carefully checked him over, and as his father joined, gratitude was all that was on their hearts.
He's fine, huh? He's okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
Very much.
You're welcome.
God is very great. God is great. Well, I thank God very much indeed to rescue this son of mine when she was abducted from Olikui up to this time. I'm really thank God. God is really very great. I thank you very much, people. You brought my son back to me, and I'm very much happy. I say that I'm with God. God to be with us. I bless God to be with us. Thank you very much.
So far, over 200 children like Martin and James have been rescued. Some have been returned to their families. Others have no one left but you. Thousands still run in fear, but with your continuing prayers and support, this war will end, and the children will finally be free of terror. The children of this war need a rescuer. Just being available can make you one. There was nothing in Sam's past that would qualify him to run an orphanage. But sometimes God will take the available and make them able. We'll be right back after this. Not only does the war in Sudan make life difficult, but just the everyday things in life can become extremely difficult. If you think things are tough here, this is the way they get their bread. Here is throwing the clothes into the wash, Sudan style. Are you thirsty and need a drink? Or just want to run your water? This is the way you have to do it in the Sudan. Sam Childers of World Mission never thought that he would be running an orphanage in southern Sudan. But God had other plans.
Back when I first come into Sudan back in '99, God really moved on me to begin working with the children. So what we did is we began helping the hospitals in Yei, and then we helped a few other hospitals inside of New Sudan. And we were giving to them every month to buy medicine and also food for the children. And then about a year went by, and I heard from the Lord to open up a place of refuge for the children in order to rescue, because there's so many orphans that are living, out in the bush. They're living inside of markets. They're just living anywhere by themselves. They don't have no one to take care of them. So we ended up coming here to Nimli, and when we come here to Nimli, God gave us this piece of ground. We're probably one of the only NGOs that literally own the ground here that we have. Anyways, we started building the orphanage. Everything is a long process here in Africa. I mean, when you start to build, everything takes a lot of time. But we weren't even done. We had a few of the tukuls done in the back. We had a couple of the staff houses done. And here people heard that we were building this orphanage. So we started having children from all over come. Children from all over were coming. We weren't even ready for them. So finally I told the authorities, I said, these children are sleeping outside of our gate. They're sleeping out here in the bush. They're sleeping under a tree. I says, I'm not set up to have an orphanage, but I says, we got to bring these children in. At least here they could have shelter, they can have protection, they can have 3 meals a day. So we began the orphanage before we were ever even ready to operate. And even now, we're operating now, and we should have more buildings built. As you can see, we're building more buildings, but we need the buildings to get built. But there's just so many children that are suffering out there. And we just keep bringing them in every time we find one.
Protecting and feeding the children is a wonderful thing, and it will sustain them for a while. But do they have a future? What is their hope?
Our hope for these children is that we can have them educated and teach them a way of life that can give them a greater future. Number one is it's in Jesus Christ, but it's also to teach a trade. I have a lot of people, they say, oh, Sam, they said, I'd like to adopt these children and bring one back to the U.S. That's not our work. Our work is to reconstruct this country. Our work is to rebuild this country. And in order to rebuild this country, it's with the children that I have sitting here with me now. If we can educate them, and build them up, we can rebuild this country.
Okay, so what can you do to make a difference? Sam has this suggestion.
Okay, we have what we call a Safe Child program, okay, to where you can adopt a child, and you can support that child every month. Now, we don't allow them to be adopted out to go out of the country, and there's many reasons why. Number one reason is these children are the future of New Sudan. What's good about our adoption plan is you can have a personal relationship with this child. I mean, every time I come over, if you would like to send a Bible, like to send a little package, we will bring the package to the child. We let the children they can color pictures and stuff like that. We bring it right back to you.
You can make a difference. Go to the Sudan. And if you can't go, give so that others can go. And of course, pray. Prayer really does make a difference. Until next time, this is Tim Bergen for The Rescuers.
World Mission, it's a mission that you can count on. The integrity is there. When they get resources from America, they use them to the absolute best of their ability, which is greater than most other missions. The money is accountable. Anybody can see their books. So I believe that the first thing we can say is that you can trust World Missions. And also, I know Sam now, and we've worked together, and we've become friends. and he's a man whose heart is real for the country. He's not making it up. He's not playing games. He's not trying to feather his own nest. He has a very big heart for the people here, and especially his orphanage. When you see him play with the children and you see how he loves his people, then you know that it's real. It's not something that's made up.
One of the biggest things is don't forget what you're hearing. You know, many interviews I've done, I've spoken in many churches, spoken on many radio stations, TV stations, and a lot of people are moved when they see these children, when they see and hear the stories. But what happens is they go home at night and they forget all about these children. And that was something when God called me that I could not do, I could never forget. I mean, I would leave here on a mission trip, I'd go home, but I could never forget, and I would come back again. A month would pass, I'd be back again. Don't forget what's happening here.
The situation in Sudan and northern Uganda is critical and has been going on for decades. Today, you can make a difference. Pray for the people in this region, especially the children. Contact your denomination and ask them how you can help with their outreach to the Sudan. If you would like to help Sam Childers and World Mission, here is their information. Let us know what you think about the program. Email us at rescuers@ctvn.org.
Cornerstone Television wishes to thank all our faithful viewers whose consistent prayers and financial support have made this program possible.